I am a total Sonic the Hedgehog fan, much like everyone else. I like the newer games, but I don't mind playing the classics. I don't think I've ever played glitchy or hack games before, though I don't think I want to play any of the experience I had. It started on a nice summer afternoon. I was playing Sonic Unleashed. I liked how you get to explode towns in it, until I noticed, on my peripheral vision, that the mailman had arrived and put something in my mailbox, as usual, and left. I paused my game to go see what I got in the mail. The only thing in the mailbox was a CD case with computers and a note. I took it inside. I looked at the note first and realized it was from my dear friend Kyle. Let's just call him that, whom I haven't heard from in 2 weeks. I know that because I recognized his handwriting. Though what was weird is how it looked. It looked badly written and scratchy and somewhat difficult to read, as Kyle was having a hard time writing it down and did it in a hurry. This is what he wrote. Tom, I can't take it anymore. I had to get rid of this thing somehow before it's too late, and I was hoping you'd do it for me. I can't do it. He's after me. If you don't destroy the CD, he'll come after you too. He's too fast for me. Please, Tom, destroy this forsaken disc before he comes after you too. It's too late for me. Destroy the disc and you'll destroy him, but do it quick, otherwise he'll catch you. Don't even play the game. It's what he wants, to destroy it. Please, Kyle. Well, that was certainly weird. Even though Kyle is my best friend, and I haven't seen him in 2 weeks, I didn't do what he asked me to. I didn't think that was a simple gaming disc, and it would do anything bad. After all, it's just a game, right? Boy, was I wrong about that. Anyway, I looked at the disc, and it looked like any ordinary computer CDR disc, except that it had black marker on it, written Sonic.EXE on it, and it was much like anything unlike Kyle's handwriting, meaning that he must have gotten it from someone else, like a pawn shop or eBay. When I saw Sonic on the writing of the CD, I was actually excited and wanted to play it, since I'm a Sonic fan. I went up to my room and turned on my computer, and put the disc in and installed the game. When the title screen popped up, I noticed that it was the first Sonic game, and I was like, awesome, because like I said earlier, I like the classics. The first thing I noticed that was out of place was when I pressed start. There was a split second when I saw the title image turn into something much different, something that I consider very horrifying, before cutting to black. I remember what the image looked like in that split second before the game was cut to black. The sky had darkened, the title emblem was rusted and ruined, the Sega 1991 was now Sega 66, and the water had turned red, like blood, except it looked hyper-realistic. But the freakiest thing that was in the split second frame was Sonic. His eyes were pitch black and blinking with two glowing red dots staring right at me, and his smile stretched wider out to the edge of his face. I was rather disturbed at the image when I saw it, though I figured that it was just a glitch and forgot about it. After it cut to black, it stayed like that for about 10 seconds or so, and then another weird thing happened. The save file select from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 popped up. I was like, what the flip? What is going on in the first Sonic game? Anyway, then I noticed something off. The background was the dark cloudy sky of the Best Starter Speedway level from Sonic CD, and there was only 3 save files. The music was like creepy caverns of the winter's music from Earthbound, only it was extended and seemed to have been in reverse. And the image for the save file, where you see a preview of the level you're on, is just static graphic files. What freaked me out more was the character select. It showed only Tails, Knuckles, and to my surprise, Dr. Robotnik. Now I was sure that something was up. I mean, how can you play as Robotnik in the classic Sonic game, for crying out loud? That's when I realized that it wasn't just a glitchy game, it was a hack game. Yeah, it definitely looked hacked, it was really creepy, but as a smart gamer, I wasn't scared. Or at least I tried not to be. I told myself that it was just a hack game, and there's nothing wrong with that. Anyways, shaking off the creeped out feeling I had, I picked file 1 and then chose Tails, and it got selected and got started. The game froze for about 5 seconds, and I heard a creepy pixelated laugh that sounded like a lot off of like that Kefka laugh from Final Fantasy before it went to black. The screen stayed black for about 10 seconds or more, and it showed me the typical level title thing, except the simplistic shapes were different shades of red, and the text showed only Hill, Act 1. The screen faded in, and the level title screen vanished, revealing Tails and the Green Hill song from Sonic 1. The music was different though, and it sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. Anyway, I started playing and it had Tails start running like you would in any of the classic Sonic games. What was odd was that Tails was running along the level. There was nothing but flat ground and a few trees for 5 minutes. That was when the peaceful music started to lower down into slow, deeper tones and slow as it kept going. And I suddenly saw something and I stopped to see what it was. It was one of the small animals lying dead on the ground bleeding. That was when the music started to slow down. Tails had a shocked and saddened expression on his face, and I never saw him before, so I had him move along. And he kept a worried look on his face. As he kept moving, I saw more dead animals as Tails moved past them, looking more and more worried, as the music lowers. And he moves past more dead animals. I was shocked to see how they all died. It looked like somebody killed them in rather gruesome ways. A squirrel was hanging on a tree with what appeared to be his entrails hanging out. A bunny had all 4 of his limbs torn off, and a duck had his eyes gouged out and his throat slit. I felt so sick to my stomach when I saw this massacre, and apparently so did Tails. How edgy. After a few more seconds, there was no more animals, and the music seemed to have stopped. So I still kept Tails to continue. And then after a minute passed, after the music stopped, Tails was running up a hill and then he stopped. It wasn't until I saw why. Sonic was there on the other side of the screen with his back against Tails, with his eyes closed. Tails looked happy to see Sonic, but then his smile faltered, obviously noticing that Sonic wasn't responding to him, if not acting as if he was totally oblivious of Tails' presence. Tails was walking slowly towards Sonic, and I noticed that I wasn't even moving my keyboard to make a move. So this had to be a cutscene. Suddenly, I began to have a growing feel of dread as Tails walked closer to Sonic to get his attention. I felt that Tails was in danger, and something bad was going to happen. I heard faint static grow louder as Tails was but inches away from Sonic and stopped and struck his hand out to touch him. That foreboding feeling in my gut was growing stronger, and I felt the urge to tell Tails to get away from Sonic as the static grew louder. Suddenly, in a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes open, and they were black with those red glowing dots, just like the title image. Though there wasn't a smile. When that happened, the screen turned black and the static sound was off. It stayed black for about several seconds, and then the white text appeared from the message. If you did not hear that, it said, "Hello, do you want to play with me?" At this point, I was creeped out. I didn't want to continue with the game, but my curiosity got the better of me when I was taken to a different level called Hide and Seek. This time I was in Angel Island from Sonic 3, and it looked like everything was on fire. Tails looked as though he was scared of his wits this time. He actually looked at me and made frantic gestures to me, as if he wanted to get out of there arenas as fast as possible. I was starting to get freaked out by this. Tails was actually breaking the 4th wall, trying to tell me to get him out of there. So I pressed down on the air keys as hard as I could, and I ran as fast as he could. A pixelated version of the creepy thing that you meet shot out of the art as Harmonic from Sonic Adventure 2 was playing, as I made Tails trek to the desolate forest, trying to help him escape from whatever he was trying to run from. Suddenly I heard the creepy laugh again. That awful, Kefka laugh. Right after 10 seconds had passed, as I helped Tails run through the forest. Then I started seeing flashes of Sonic pop up on the screen. Again, with his black and red eyes. The music changed to the suspenseful drowning jingle. As I see Sonic behind Tails slowly getting up on him, flying. Sonic wasn't running, he was actually flying. That flying pose was a sprite as he made it look very similar to Metal Sonic's flying pose in Sonic CD. Except it was Sonic and he had the black and red eyes again. Only this time, he had the most deranged look and a grin on his face. He looked as though he was enjoying the torment he was hearing the poor little foxes gained up on him. Suddenly, when Tails tripped, another cutscene, the music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails laid there and started crying for 15 seconds. The scene was rather upsetting to watch, and I kind of teared up myself. But then Sonic appeared right in front of Tails, and Tails looked up in horror. Blood started to come down from those blackened eyes of Sonic's, as a grin slowly grew from his face as he looked down at the horrified fox. I could do nothing but watch. Just in a split second, Sonic lunged at Tails right before the screen went black. There was a loud screech. Yeah, that. that only lasted 5 seconds. The text returned only this time. It said, if you didn't hear it, it said you're too slow. Want to try again? And then that awful laugh came with it. I was so shocked by what had happened. Did Sonic run to Tails? No, he couldn't have. He and Tails are supposed to be best friends, right? Why did Sonic do that to him? I shook the shock off as I was brought back to the character select, which was flickering with a red static. Tails' expression had scared me. His eyes were black and bleeding. His orange fur had gone black and an expression of anguish on his face. Trying to ignore it, I picked Knuckles next. The laugh came again, and the screen cut to black again. It stayed for another 10 seconds. This time, the level said, "You can't run." I was really freaked out by now. I couldn't really tell if it was a glitch or a hack or some kind of sick, twisted joke, or anything really. But despite my fear of what happened next, I kept playing. The next level looked much different. It had the ground of Scrap Brain Zone, with the sky background looked like the main menu. It had dark reddish cloudy sky. It was the music that creeped me out the most. It sounded like Gig Gas theme right after you'd be poking Earthbound. I also noticed that Knuckles looked afraid, just like Tails did. Though not as much. More rather than he looked a little unnerved. He broke the fourth wall, just like Tails, and looked as if he wasn't sure about what was going on. But I made him move anyway. He ran down the straight pathway in this dark level, and as he did, the screen started to flicker red static a couple times, and then that maddening laugh came again. Then after a few seconds of running, I noticed several bloodstains on the metallic ground. I felt a growing sense of fear, thinking something horrible was going to happen to Knuckles. He looked nauseated walking down this bloodstained road, but I still kept him going. Suddenly, as Knuckles ran, Sonic appeared right in front of him with his black and red eyes, and then the red static appeared again. And the static vanished, showing with black eyes with the text saying, "Found you." I was now scared. Sonic found Knuckles already? Anyway, red static came again, and I was back to the level. Knuckles looked like he was panicking, and Sonic was nowhere to be found. And this time, the high-pitched squealing noise from the Silent Hill's one final boss fight was playing. Was this some kind of boss battle with Sonic? I hoped it wasn't, honestly. Suddenly, Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles and what appeared to be a pixelated black smoke. I made Knuckles turn around and punch Sonic, but then Sonic vanished in black pixelated smoke before I could even let it hit. The terrible laugh went off again. And then Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles again, and then made him punch again. And Sonic vanished again, laughing. Knuckles was panicking even more, and even I felt like I was going crazy. Sonic was practically playing with us. He was playing a sick, twisted little mind game with me and Knuckles. Another cutscene played as Knuckles fell to his knees and clutched his head, throbbing. I felt his agony, and Sonic was driving us both crazy. In a split second, Sonic lunged at Knuckles and the screen went black with another twisted, screeching noise that lasted 50 seconds. And then another voice line appeared. So many souls to play with, so little time. Would you agree? What the flip? What the heck? Just what is going on? And I started to think Sonic was actually trying to tug me through the game, but I was too scared to think that. I was brought back to the main menu, and this time the second file box had Knuckles on the TV screen. His red fur darkened to reddish gray, his deadlocks were dripping with blood, and his eyes were black and bleeding too. He had a look of sadness on his face. I began to think those are actual characters trapped on those TV screens on the same files, but I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. So I shut off the game and took a break. I took a nap. Wish I hadn't, because then I began to have the most disturbing nightmare. I was in this pitch black darkness, though I was under the light, giving off a lamp hung high above my head. I could hear the crowds of Knuckles and Heroes nearby. They were saying stuff like, "Help us," and "Why did you give us to him?" and "Run away before he gets you too." The cries died out, as then I heard Sonic laugh. His laugh, it sounded a lot like the story Cats could laugh. You're a lot of fun to play with, kid. Just like your friend Kyle, though he didn't last long. I was scared and looking around for the source of the voice. It won't be long now until you join him and all my other friends. I saw him walking towards me, flickering in and out in several directions. You can't run, kid. You're on my world now, just like the others. When he grabbed me and I saw his bleeding black and red-eyed grinning face, I woke up with a fright. After a couple hours, I decided to continue playing the game. I don't know why, but I had to know. I had to figure out why this was happening. So I turned on the computer, I turned on the game, and selected Robotnik next. I still thought that was wacky. Playing with Robotnik? But anyway, the level title appeared again, and this time it said ... which I found really freaky. This time, I was in some kind of hallway. It didn't really look like it was from any of the classic Sonic games, though it had the pixelated art style. The floor was shiny and checkered. The walls were a dark grayish purple, with animated candle lights and a few dark blood stains here and there. There was a dark gray curtain hanging above the top part of the screen. Every 12 seconds or so, that red curtain sways very slowly, but whenever you're playing the game, you can barely see it move. The music was oddly pleasant, a piano playing a rather sad yet peaceful song, but I knew better. This song was what that Hale played Act 1, only it was in reverse. Robotnik didn't look entirely nervous like Tails and Knuckles did, but he did have a suspicious look in his face, as if he was just a bit paranoid. He did a lot of animation when I just left him standing. He turned his head to the left, to the right, at least twice, and then he shrugs at me, as if he has no idea where he was or what was going on. Even though I was scared out of my mind about what was going to happen, I had Robotnik continue onward. He did his usual running animation, you know, when he beat him at the end of the classic Sonic game and he chased him. As we continued going through the dark hallway, I just thought that the long flight of stairs leaned downward. Now I was nervous. Even Robotnik seemed unsure of himself. The first song ever. As I led Robotnik down the stairs, I noticed that the walls are going darker and more reddish. The red torches are now an eerie blue. They were led onto another hallway. This one was longer than the last one, or at least it felt like it. And then we headed down another flight of stairs down. This one was much longer. It took at least one full minute. And then I heard that horrid Kefka laugh once again. And the music slowly faded until it was quiet. As it did, the walls turned more dark red and torches were a black flame now. When Robotnik landed on the third hallway, I noticed he had now looked really creeped out, though he tried to hide it. I couldn't blame him. I was scared too. Suddenly, Sonic appeared right in front of Robotnik the same way he did Knuckles. And then the red static lasted about 15 seconds. And then it showed me the most unpleasant image. The image showed a hyper-realistic Sonic standing in the darkness where you could only see his face while his head and torso fighting in the black. And when I say hyper-realistic, I mean he looked so real you could actually see his lines before. And as you can see, as if you could actually feel the fur if you touched the screen. His face. Oh my goodness, his face. He had the most horrifying smile I've ever seen. I'm not saying something considering I saw the image at the start of the game. His eyes were white and black and looked like crying blood, which also looked hyper-realistic. And there he was. Two small, glowing red dots in his black eyes staring right at me, as if staring into my mind. His wide grin was wide and demonic. It was literally stretched to the sides of his face like a Cheshire cat, except Sonic had fangs, very sharp fangs, much like the warehouse sticks, except more vicious looking. Somewhat yellowish, and from the look at it, he had stains of blood and small bits of flesh on his lips and fangs, as if he ate some animal. I stood at the gruesome image for a good 30 seconds, never taking my eyes off it. I felt as if he was actually looking at me, smiling at me. That face, it took 10 seconds for it to etch myself into my brain for good. Then the screen flickered with red static 3 times, and the third time I had the Kefka laugh. Except this time, it turned distorted, demonic even. It went back to the image again, except this time, there's text going through it again. It was messed up, but it was pretty much one of the most horrifying things since I had this game. I am nice. It was when I read that message while looking at Sonic that only hit me. Literally, right there and then. This Sonic was a monster, a pure, evil, sadistic, all-powerful, nightmarish, demented monster, and all of his victims, known Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik, and possibly Kyle, and his little toys. And the game is the very great way to the chaotic, nightmarish world, and the very hell this victim was trapped in. Suddenly, in an actual split second, I screamed as Sonic lunged at the screen, screeching loudly with his mouth wide open, in unnatural length, revealing nothing but a little spiraling abyss of pure darkness before the red stag came again. This time much louder and distorted. So loud that it hurt my ears. I yelled and grabbed my ears as red static screeched for a good 7 seconds. Then it stopped and showed nothing but a black screen. As I sat there, staring at the black screen, one last text came up. "Ready for round 2, Tom?" The cats collapsed, now sounding more clear as the sound was right behind me. Played again 3 times. As I looked at the text in shocking confusion. Then I got booted back to the main menu, and this time the third save file had an image of Robotnik in the same tremendous state as Tails and Knuckles. Robotnik's skin had turned dull gray, his mustache drooped, and it had blackened. His glasses broke, and the blood had come from them, and a mere dead-like expression on his face. I looked at Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik, and I cried a bit. I pitied them for the agony they're going through, their forever trapped within the game. I forever tormented by that horrid hedgehog. Well, I was beat. The computer shut itself off. I couldn't turn it back on no matter what I did. I sat there for about 25 seconds, horrified by what had just happened. Sonic is the very epitome of evil. He tortures people who play this game in more ways than one. Then when he gets bored, he drags you into the game. Really drags you to heck, where he can play with you, always, as his toy. I can't get the game out of my computer. I think it's stuck there, but at least I managed to turn it back on now. After I sat there for about 30 seconds, I heard a voice right behind me like a whisper. "Try to keep this interesting for me, Tom." I turned around to see where the voice came from, and when I saw, maybe ashamed, sitting on my bed, staring right at me, was a Sonic plushie, smiling, with bloodstains under its eyes. The end.